If you sit somebody down like him, I think they're willing to listen. A lot of them are willing to potentially reflect and figure out, like, I feel lucky to have, I don't want to say like the influence, but like the trust that people, the one thing I go for on this channel is like, I'm not flaming you in these sessions to like make you feel bad. I'm flaming you in a way that's like, dude, this is what you need to do to fucking get better. If you don't want to do it, so be it, Like, this is what you need to do to get better. I feel very lucky to have that privilege and trust from a lot of people that sign up for my coaching sessions, that they understand that even though I'm being very harsh, that like they just need to hear this shit sometimes. Like, some people just need to fucking hear it. And if you're watching, I can tell you from my perspective, there's a lot of times I hear people say shit like this to me, and I'm like, nah, I don't need to do that shit, nah. Fucking crazy. Like, what a fucking full piece of shit he is, or whatever. I've thought about other people that have coached me or like tried to help me in teams. I've thought about it. Let me just tell you, I guarantee it applies to every single fucking one of you, and none of you are above it. Dota's all about confidence combined with having the willingness to admit you suck.
Banana slam jam.
Alright, so my situation's a little complicated. I've been playing Dota. I'm old, first of all. I'm like turning 31 soon. Been playing Dota for a really long time, since 2005, 2006. Dota 1, and then I never played Dota 2 when it came out. I took a break for like 6 years, and I started getting back to Dota.
It's been a recurring theme ever since this COVID shit, but continue.
No, I actually started quite a while ago. So I started in like TI6.
Okay.
And grinded for like a few years, and TI7 I reached my peak MMR, which is like 5.5, and then after that I didn't want to play serious like stressful games anymore, so I just started smurfing after that.
Fuck you. Continue.
And then recently, about a month ago, I was just smurfing on like 3K accounts, and then I got that account to like 4.8, like Divine 1. Okay. And then that account got banned. So I was playing on that for like a year, and then it got banned, and I got demoralized and didn't want to play Dota anymore, and took a break for like 2 weeks. But then now I'm back on on one of my other Smurfs, and now my life
What's the MMR of this Smurf?
4K, right at 4K.
Okay.
And I wanted a coaching session mainly because I have certain situations where I don't know how to deal with. So I play mid. I'm a mid player, and typically like 8 to 9 tenths out of game, I win my lane. I win mid, and either one, like, I can close the game out and I get a huge lead. I close the game out, or they throw bodies at me and I don't know what to do. And I have replay of one of them where I had like legit like 3 to 4 heroes mid, and I don't know what to do like in that situation.
Sure, man. Yeah, it's just, obviously if you're smurfing, you're gonna win your lane most of the time. A lot of MMR is how good you are in lane. I don't want this to be condoning smurfing for anybody, but it's not a drastic change if you're going from 4.8 to 4K. I would say I'm pretty sure I know what to expect here in terms of what I see, but let's go ahead and check it out.
My goal is I want to get to Immortal.
Okay.
5.5. So that was I was actually trying really hard on that account that got banned. And it was really bad because I had all my skins on there and like over $1,000 worth of skins.
So why did it get banned?
Because it was a bot account, and the shitty thing was like I was playing on that account for like a year, and
I see.
And then they banned it, and then it was an in-game ban, so I can't transfer anything out.
Ah, fascinating. Okay, this is definitely a new one for me. Okay, so
I play Huskar a lot. I'm a Huskar spammer. So.
Wow, this storyline keeps getting better and better. Okay.
I don't know why people hate on Huskar players. Like, what's wrong with playing Huskar?
Nobody enjoys playing as Huskar, dude. What are you doing that's aggroing creeps? I'm confused.
Might be right-clicking him.
Like, why are you not burning spearing him? I'm just asking.
I am burning spearing him. I mean, is your question why am I not burning spearing him?
No, like, when you walk up to burning spearing him, why are the creeps aggroing you? Like, do you have it on, like, autocast and you're right-clicking him?
No. I don't have it on autocast, no. But I'm casting it on him.
All I know is you casting burning spears on the opponent will not draw aggro, so I'm just curious if you have an answer for why it's aggroing. Like, are you right-clicking the guy and then pushing W? Like, what are you doing?
I'm pretty sure I'm clicking on the spell and then clicking on him.
Interesting. I can, like, show you in a lobby, but that definitely should not aggro. I'm just curious. I actually have no idea what's happening. That's why I was asking. Okay. So when you're level 2 as Huskar, let's see this here. Why did you drag these creeps, out of curiosity?
Because I wanted to control the lane, and I wanted at least one of the range creeps to die.
Okay. So if you pull the lane back to your own range creeps, what's the Zeus going to do in response?
Chainlining the creeps.
Okay.
The creeps.
Cool. If you shove the lane into his tower when you're level 2 and he's level 1, what's the Zeus going to do?
Do the same thing. Try to do the same thing.
And what are you going to do?
Right-click him.
Cool. So, what do you think I'm getting at here?
It'd be better for me to shove the lane in.
Yeah, it's much better to just shove the lane into this guy's face and dive his tower, because you're a hero that can not only win the trades, but you also orb walk him when you're like Huskar level 2 before the other guy's level 2 is like insanely scary. I think like if I'm level 1 and the opponent Huskar's level 2, I'm fucked. You know, like actually.
Yeah.
So I think this is you very poorly capitalizing on an advantage you have here.
I guess that's my mistake. I try to like, I'm like so focused on keeping the lane like where I'm not under his tower.
Yeah, like, see what happened here is the lane was already out of control. Like, you already had 2 range creeps, right? So rather than, like, trying to fix a problem that's going to happen no matter what you do, you can instead snowball that problem. Like, imagine if you did this exact same move with 2 more creeps underneath his tower, and you had, like, an extra 6 seconds, 7 seconds to, like, just pound on this guy, right?
Yeah, that's right-clicking. You're right.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? Okay, cool. So I understand that your Burning Spears doubles in damage, but what's preventing you from running at this guy right now? Like, what's preventing you from just running past these creeps and hitting the guy?
He might kill me, nuke me if I'm like too low in health.
Okay, so my question is, like, against heroes with like more right click and shit, if you don't have enough Burning Spears, then you're like not a threat on them, right?
That's correct. Yep.
So against Zeus, wouldn't you agree that 1 level in Burning Spears is enough to like win the trade with him right-clicking him?
It is.
Okay, so this is an example where I haven't played Huskar in a really long time, but I just kind of deduced what you should do based on what I've seen other players do and what I think about the game. I think this should have been a 0-1-2 build, like 100%. Your regen doubles almost.
Oh, 0-1-2 build. Okay.
Yeah, where, like, notice how you were on the hill and you kept trying to posture aggressively on him, and the only thing preventing you was I could tell you were, like, scared of getting nuked over and over again. It's like, just imagine if your regen's twice as much, right? Like, you're not...
Yeah, in this matchup, I probably should have... Yeah,
yes, it's the point that I try to make is that hero spamming promotes... How do I word this? It doesn't promote overall understanding of the game. It promotes just being mechanically very good at certain heroes. So it's like, I haven't played Huskar in a really long time, other than one time where I failed miserably because I shouldn't have picked it in the game. But conceptually, I could figure out that you're having regen issues, you should just take a second point and you're passive, and it's good enough to trade with them with Burning Spears. And it's like, that's why I always bash hero spammers. But here, definitely shouldn't take aggro from that range, obviously. I think you obviously get the idea on Huskar. He's like a pretty straightforward hero. You're supposed to walk at the guy. But your overall capitalizing on this isn't that great. Like, we already talked about what you messed up. I would once again consider just taking another point. You're passive.
So this is where like you start throwing bodies at me, like.
Okay.
And then it's gonna happen a lot more often.
Okay. Yeah. So far, like I'm sure you were kind of like, what's going on? Why is there another hero in my lane?
Yeah.
So my question for you is, why do you think the Invoker came mid there?
Because I'm dicking this guy, and
okay. Is there anything Zeus can do about you, quote unquote, dicking him?
Not really.
Okay. So, excuse me. When I'm in a game, there's two options. I really like the scenario I'm in, or I really don't like the scenario I'm in. Okay? So, when I really like the scenario I'm in, I think, what can the opponent do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So, I go to this like decision tree or whatever, flowchart, and I think, can Zeus do anything about this? Like, alone. If he's the only part of the equation, can he do anything? And the answer is absolutely nothing. So, the only option the opponent team has is to fuck with me with other heroes. That's like their only option. So let's think about this, right? They just brought an Invoker mid. What did that do for them?
They accomplished nothing because I guess.
Okay, so let's follow this reasoning. Put ourselves in the head of the opponent. What are they going to do now?
Either stay around and then try to kill me again, or go back to the lane.
So, how do I word this? Would you agree that the next time the Invoker comes back, there's probably going to be another hero?
If it's just an Invoker, I don't think he can kill me.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is, like, what did the opponent learn from this engagement? These guys are only 4K or whatever. They're not perfect. Like, what did he learn from that?
That it failed, that only one
that just him is not enough. Right? So, they're going to bring another one. Right? And if they bring 3 and it does nothing, what are they going to do next? Okay. Yeah, so it's a pretty straightforward process here, where I remember there was one game where the opponent SF was, like, dicking on my mid, and I was off lane. I don't remember. I think Doom. Yeah, I was Doom. I was off lane. No, 4 position? I was 4 position or 3 position Doom, and I literally just camped the enemy SF and killed him, like, 3 times in a row. I was off lane Doom. I remember this. I was off lane Doom, and I camped the SF 3 times in a row, because without me, I don't remember who my mid laner hero was, but he just couldn't lane against SF no matter what. And the SF just, like, kept raging at me, and was like, dude, fuck off, why are you in my lane? And if you really think about it, it's like, well, if I'm not here, you're going to deck on my guy, and if you show up, I kill you. Like, why would I not be here? Like, you know what I mean? So, like, if I'm Huskar in these games, right, I'm thinking to myself, I want to play super aggressive, super powerful, high level, or high advantage over the hero I'm playing against. What's the opponent going to do in response? Like, pretty straightforward. And I think to myself, like, if I have this parameter for myself, I think, like, these 3 heroes would be enough to kill me, or these 4 heroes would be enough to kill me, or once they have Snapfire ulti, they'll have enough to kill me. You know, whatever, like, whatever it is, I draw this exact scenario portrait of what it will take to kill me. And until that scenario occurs, I will be playing like a fucking raid boss. But the minute that scenario occurs, or is possible of occurring, meaning that, like, all 4 heroes are off map or whatever, then I will instantly change my perspective on how I should be playing this lane. So a lot of players in your bracket, around the 4 to 5K level, will be very good at playing heroes aggressively when they are strong, and they just cannot adjust to the situation where they are not allowed to be strong anymore.
That's exactly my point.
So yeah, it's a pretty common problem, because you guys are, like, you're aware you're favorable in this matchup or whatever. But, like, if you force 4 heroes to play around the Zeus, and you're just, like, pushing out the lane and then farming jungle, is that, like, good?
That's really good.
That's, like, really good, right? Like, who cares? Like, the whole idea is knowing where that boundary is for you based on the scenario in the game. So based on exactly, like, where the enemy heroes are, if they're bringing 4 heroes to your lane and not killing you, what a fucking waste of their time. Like, you don't have to shit on this Zeus, right? Like, you don't have to just shit on him. Like, but the whole idea is you understand, yes, in a vacuum, me versus Zeus, dumpster this guy. Like, I fucking dumpster this guy. So if they don't bring anybody, I'm going to dumpster this guy. But, so I just think to myself, every time I'm in a favorable matchup, what changes this? Like, if I'm a carry, it's like, is the opponent mid rotating change this? Is the opponent safe lane rotating change this? Like, if I'm PL, and I'm against a hero that I'm, like, out-leveling by 2 levels, but the opponent Puck is 6, am I going to dive that guy's tower?
No.
No, because Puck rotating on me is like insta-death for me. So, like, I can't capitalize on my advantage of being 2 levels ahead of that guy by diving him. I just can't. Like, I literally can't. But if the opponent mid's like a Medusa, fuck yeah, I'm going to dive that guy.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the example where I have this advantage. I know I'm stronger. That means I can play aggressive. Sometimes that aggression is just pushing in the lane and farming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes that's all it is. Obviously, as Huskar, it takes a lot of discipline to recognize this, but the Huskar is very position-based. Like, if you are out of position as Huskar, like, if you overextend, what's your way out? To base. Okay, cool. Yeah, like, you're gonna man mode up, and if you die, you die. Like, that's what happens on Huskar, so... okay, so... I would consider, like, using an occasional Burning Spear to lower my health. This is... okay, you know, if you want to be crazy, it's...
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were crazy for doing that, but I was like, if he wants to be crazy, maybe he knows something I don't. There has to be, like, this line you draw. So, let me rewind here. Let me rewind.
I was about to use my wand there, but the moment I saw the Invoker coming, I was like, okay, I'm dead regardless. I'm not even going to use my wand. Like, I'm dead.
When it comes to this bounty rune and rotations in general in the mid lane, if you're ahead, I would define it as blasphemy that this lane does not get pushed in before you do anything. It's just, in my opinion, a pretty overarching theme of mid lane. This lane should always be pushed in before you do anything. Continue.
The reason I took that bounty rune is because I realized that Zeus had a bottle, so that's why I was trying to deny the bounty rune from him. But that was my reasoning. Normally, I don't even I wouldn't go to that bounty rune at all. Like, only reason I did that was because I saw the Zeus have a bottle.
So if this Zeus is out of position, does it matter if he's at full health or half?
It doesn't.
Okay.
Now that you ask me, then you're right. It doesn't matter if he has a full bottle because he can't really kill me.
It just doesn't do anything. So what did you just do? You allowed him to push a wave into your tower for free and then take 4 creeps. That's what you did. I would say that's way more valuable than that bounty rune for his bottle. That's usually why you pretty much always push in the lane as mid, because it's never worth it when you're ahead like that to do that. When I'm behind, I will scavenge for some bounty runes, man. I will, like, 100%. And I am used to being behind, don't worry. Don't watch my mid lane, you know what I'm saying? Okay, continuing here. I just saw that you were, like, almost a whole level ahead of this guy, and then you just weren't, and that's the effect of that. No vision, you're just playing like a fucking raid boss. There's nothing else to say. I already said, like, you know, what does the opponent have to do? So in this case, like, you're really strong. If they go on you when you're by yourself, they can kind of just commit to you and kill you. Huskar is not the same hero he used to be. Like, you have this triple bracer, but yeah, they've nerfed his early mid game like really hard, but like once he gets, like, 2 items, like Armlet Halberd, man, this hero's fucking scary, dude. So it's, like, usually what I've learned with Huskar, that you either play with your team and take objectives, or you just fucking chill, bruh. You know, like, you just fucking push in the mid lane, you farm some creeps on your side of the map. I personally don't think Huskar is a very good hero right now, and I don't really think that, but, like, they keep nerfing him when I'm like, Jesus, like, the man's already dead. But I definitely think you're just in the wrong mindset. Like, you're aggressively taking a stack with absolutely no vision, and you're against magical burst heroes, so you can't be sitting at, you know, 20% health.
Yeah.
I actually think you being at, like, this happy medium of health. So what I've learned about Huskar passive is the thing I've learned about Huskar passive is that the levels you put in it, it kind of like determines where your health pool stagnates. Like if you're farming and you have 4 points in your passive, you're probably going to be sitting around like 50% health. You know, like 40 to 50, whatever. I don't know the exact numbers because I haven't played them a lot recently.
Very
but that's
COOL.
But that's like the idea, right? So how many points I put in my burning spears compared to how many points I'll put in my passive is based on how much health I think I have to be sitting at. So like in this game, I think more points in your passive was really important. You're not going to get out farmed. You're only going to die. Like that's the only thing that can go wrong in this game. You crush the guy mid. So your whole point should be to accelerate your own timings as much as possible. Once you have Armlet, Halberd, BKB, you're unfucking killable. Like, there's actually no way. And every time you get one of those items, you're going to be much less killable. But every time you die, you're going to become more and more and more and more killable. Like, that's just how Huskar, Necro, you know, these type of heroes work. These, like, immobile, tanky heroes where the first time to kill them is always the hardest. The second time's even easier. The third time's way easier. And so this is just I think I kind of described to you what you were going to do wrong before you even did it, you know? But it's about this mindset of, like...
At this point in time in game, I was like, you know what? They're throwing bodies at me. I don't know what to do anymore, so I just went to jump. So.
Notice how that worked out for you. Like, imagine if you were just playing the efficiency game from, like, minute 6, and they tried to gank you. Right? Like, they look like dumbasses. Yeah. They can't bring that many heroes to your side of the map when you're in control. Like, they would have to smoke gank you, and there's, like, they can't smoke gank you a bajillion times. Like, you can only do it a couple times max, and then they have no smoke, so it's like...
Just play more passive, though, like, you know, when they're throwing bodies at me, just play more passive.
Dude, one of the hardest things to recognize on any hero is when you're not supposed to do fucking shit, dude. Like, I had this game on Lesh where we were against techies, and I was like, guys... We just have to farm until we have, like, Bloodstone Heart on me and, like, you know, one other item on this guy. And it's like, I was farming as aggressively as I thought I could, right? Which was pretty aggressive that game. But I just couldn't dive any of them. Like, I couldn't kill anyone. My team was actually fighting a lot. And a lot of people would watch a game like that and be like, wow, BSJ had, like, 30% kill participation, like, carried XD or whatever. But it's like, if you actually look at my hero and I try to run into fights, I'm just going to die. Like, I'm actually just going to die. And it's like, you don't want to feel pressured to do something your hero is not capable of doing. And I've realized on a lot of these heroes I was really bad at, a lot of them, that they were just required to fucking chill out for, like, you know, some period of time in the mid-game. Like, 5 to 10 minutes, they were supposed to just fucking chill. Whether or not that chill means like super passive farming or whether or not that just means like pushing in the lane and farming, you know, like whatever that is. Every game it's a bit different. Every matchup it's a bit different. But in this game, like you established a lead because you beat this Zeus. But you are very killable by their heroes. Like they have a lot of burst. And so the way you capitalize in games like that when you're like SFs, Huskar really isn't that tanky super early on anymore. The way you capitalize on this lead is just by forcing them to gank you on your side of the map after you've pushed in the lane. Like, that's how you capitalize on a lead, and that's how your mindset needs to be. Like, you don't need to be shitting on this Zeus to win the game. Like, you need to be applying the pressure and winning your lane appropriately, but then you're good to go after that. Notice how your health pool looks pretty healthy now that you have the right amount of points in your pass, like full points in your passive. Yes, your farming speed of like killing the creeps would be a bit slower from the Burning Spear's damage, but even this is pretty crazy to me, to be honest with you. The fact that you guys had like no vision there kind of scared me. It ended up working out. I think there was a chance of that backfiring again. Like if the opponent had vision there, they just like 4-man you and kill you.
They just draw at me again.
Yeah, if you want to play with your team, you're pretty strong. Notice how you're pretty strong with your team.
So at this team fight, they have 5 heroes bottom, and then I got really pissed off because look at my team. My whole team is just jungling.
So it's like, I use my ulti here, I killed this Invoker. I see this Zeus TPing. Now what? Like, look at the map. Now what?
Should have just backed.
Right? Like, haven't you... Isn't this the same thing as, like, establishing an advantage on somebody and then forcing the appropriate reaction mid and then just backing off?
And then
like,
just backing off, yeah.
Right? It's the same idea, man. Like, I understand you may see, like, my team's just chilling or whatever. Like, could this Rubik be top? Sure, but this Zeus or Windranger or whatever was actually just top. So, like, what's happening on the map if this enemy... I'm gonna play this so this meteor fucking stops playing. But my point is, like, the map control move has been made. Like, you see Windranger top. Like, you should definitely never dunk this guy.
I could not have never dove that.
Yeah, like, if they then showed, like, 3 heroes top for whatever fucking reason, by all means, just kill that fuck, right? But, like, you have to think, like, if you're ahead in lane, remember what I said. Like, what's the logical response for the opponent team if you're shitting on the Zeus, right? They're probably going to bring 3 heroes. Like, that's probably what they're going to do. After the Invoker single-handedly did not kill you. Guess what? Like, 2 minutes later, they killed you with 3 heroes. But then, in this case, when you go on them and force a long fight in the safe lane, even if you didn't see that Zeus TP, what do you think the opponent did? They probably TP'd, you know, like at least one of them. So like now you have at least 3 heroes bottom, at least, and you're dunking the guy, you know. So it's like, you definitely are. This is something that's funny. It does. I think what's funny about my coaching sessions for me personally is I find myself like pointing out random things that I think about a lot that just don't come up in every session. And in this case, it has a lot to do with when you're powerful. Really envisioning yourself, like, what's the logical way for the opponent to respond to my power? Like, what are they going to fucking do? And it's like, if they, even in 4K, people will do it a lot. Like, people will do that. They usually do it slower or less clean or whatever, so you can get away with more mistakes yourself. But every time I make an aggressive move, you can learn this idea of, they're going to instantly TP here. And if they TP right now, I'm dead. So I'm going to back off real quick. But then, like, there's so many times where I've applied that, and I just see some random guy that TP'd bottom, and now he's just bottom. And I'm like, cool. Like, that guy's bottom now. Like, very cool. You know, like, screw that guy. You know, like, you have to, like, this envision where, like, when I tell people they'll TP to the dead lane, they'll farm that one creep wave, and I'll be like, now that the opponent team has seen you on that creep wave, what do you think they're going to do? And the guy's like, they're going to run at me? And I'm like, so what happens when you show on this next creep wave? And he's like, I'm going to die. And I'm like, cool. And then he dies, you know, on the next creep wave. It's not the first creep wave. Like, you're not going to die to 4 heroes preemptively sitting on this Slark bottom, right? Like, that's not what you're going to die to. You're going to die to going on Slark, lingering, and then dying to the people that responded to your initial aggression. Like, that's what you're going to die to. Like, if you go on the Slark and there were 4 heroes sitting right behind him, there's 2 options. 1, the enemy team's crazy, or 2, your, like, map awareness is dog shit. Like, that's one of the 2. Because, like, if they've been missing for, like, 45 seconds, then they're, you know, clearly sitting somewhere, then you probably shouldn't just dunk somebody or whatever, you know. The point is, if you really think about it, this behavior by the 4Ks actually makes sense. It actually makes sense. Like, a lot of people have this weird preconceived notion that the opponent's not allowed to bring 4 heroes to respond to whatever they're doing. It's very interesting. You're not the first. I've had it in my games too.
I feel like in some of these games, like when I'm like really, like I said, like really strong, and I just want my team to play with me, and I tell them like, hey, play with me, play with me, play with me. And if they don't play with me, then what do I do then? Just leave?
Yeah. So I've actually learned this lesson recently myself. So I'm of the firm opinion the most reliable way to climb is to not play heroes that fit that description. But but what you have to do, and it's really hard, is you have to think to yourself, like, how far on the map can you play up based on who's helping you? Like, how many teammates do you have helping you to take this tier 1 tower? How many teammates do you need? If those teammates aren't there, you just have to be content doing nothing.
Wow. Okay.
Like, that's actually the only solution. I've realized it in my games recently. It's really hard to have that discipline. I lost like 700 MMR on my lower MMR Smurf account because I was this like pace-setting hero like Clinks trying to get shit done on the map, and my teammates just straight up did nothing, and I kept trying to force the issue anyways. And
that's my
that's the
yeah.
game losing shit. Like, that actually loses you games. I think I could have won plenty of those games if I had just chilled the fuck
Farm.
out. Like, if I had
Chill
just chilled the fuck out. But then it's like, at that point, if I'm chilling the fuck out, why am I playing Clinks? You know, like...
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. If I'm playing Huskar,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's a tough thing. I don't want to just be like, never play your hero that you like playing. But if you're going to play Huskar, you actually have to have that level of discipline to do that. Like, you have to ask yourself what heroes on your team are need. Like, you're correctly identifying what your objective is, but you're not at all being patient or selective of, like, what scenario is happening and everything. You're kind of just mindlessly walking at your objective and dying. It's like the opponent's bringing a lot of heroes, you're not, you know? There was my one game where I was sniper versus sniper versus Quap. Or what was I sniper versus? I was sniper versus some hero that kills me, but I could kill him. I think it was one of those. And in my mind, it's like really obvious to me that this is like a very snowbally lane. Neither hero can really do anything to each other, but if with help, either hero can kill the other. Like, that's how I'm thinking about it. And I was getting camped by 3 fucking heroes the entire fucking game. I played like a pussy for like the first 20 minutes of the game. I couldn't believe it. I was like, my team. And you know what? I ended up carrying the fucking game because I literally just sat back playing like a pussy waiting for my team to eventually do shit. And they eventually did shit. And I was like, wow. I'm like, wow, that's crazy that, like, eventually it happened. It's like, you know, on Huskar, I think you can win these games if they go a bit later, if you're getting a ton of farm and you're playing as aggressively as you possibly could, you know, like, without dying. Finding that aggression is hard. I'm not saying to never pick these heroes, but if you're going to try to force the issue without your teammates, you're just not going to win MMR. Like, that's not how you're going to play. So, like, when I say exclamation point solo carry in my chat and everything, I pick heroes that do this shit on their own. Like, they don't need... Like, if I'm an Ember Spirit, I can aggressively split push waves without teammates behind me. Like, I don't need that. Same thing from the carry role if I play, like, Slark or Jug, you know? I don't need teammates behind me in order to survivably push waves. Like, I just don't need that. But if you are going to play heroes that rely on your team, you do have to behave according to whatever your team's doing. So it just makes it harder to play properly. That's really all it does, but it is possible. It's absolutely possible. I personally hate having that discipline. I get really frustrated knowing that I'm supposed to be able to do more, and I try to tell my teammates to play with me, but if you're going to do it, that's your option, basically. So at this point, obviously, we've fed a lot, but I think it's really important to realize, I've realized this myself, very hard discipline to have, I will emphasize that again, that you just need to stop panicking. Like, just stop worrying so much. Just, like, recognize more so, what is the potential of my hero? What can I do based on what my teammates are doing in the game, and just do it. And you'll be surprised how many games just work out. Like, it really does surprise me, because what I've realized is, when you have so many of your teammates playing inefficiently or improperly on the map, it's because of the MMR bracket you're in. And guess what? The enemy team's doing the exact same shit, right? Like, they're actually doing the exact same shit. So if you're doing the next right thing for yourself at all times, on average, you're just going to win more games, because you're the one doing the right thing for yourself. Like, that at the end of the day. And you're going to win more games than you lose. And I'm a very firm believer in that after playing on my Smurf and losing so much MMR. Like, the last, like, few days, I've lost, like, 600 MMR on my Smurf. I go on my main and win all 4 games. It's like... Wow. It's like... I'm directly playing down to the level of my teammates. Like, that's what I'm doing. And it's, like, it's very much a thing to play worse because your teammates are not playing with you. And I think it's actually a very hard skill to develop, but also very important. Because there's also times in Pro Dota, even, where it's not because necessarily that your teammates are playing poorly, but it's because, like, maybe you were supposed to be able to do something, and then, like, your top lane lost way worse than it should have or something, and now you just can't. And you have to have that, like, skill set to know that you can't do that. You know? Like, you just literally have to know you can't do that. I think Halberd's, like, way too good this game. I think Blade Mail's, like, a cop-out item that doesn't actually solve anything here. I've played Wind Ranger 3 times now. You buy a Blade Mail, I'm just gonna bait out the Blade Mail and then focus fire you. I don't think it's an actual item. I don't know why people keep buying it.
I do have a question. So, I've had almost every most of the games that I play Huskar and there's a Wind Ranger on their team, I just lose. And I've tried like Halberd, and the moment like Wind Ranger gets MKB, like I feel like it's Halberd does nothing for me anymore.
I think you just go Halberd, BKB, MKB. That's like the only thing you can do.
Halberd, BKB, MKB.
Yeah, that's like pretty much all you can do. I understand the matchup; it's not that great, but like if you go Halberd, BKB, MKB, and you were like super farmed, Wind Ranger does not farm fast. I can confirm that. Like I played her 3 or 4 times in the last week. She does not farm fast, so if you're playing this efficiency game where you go Armlet, Halberd, BKB, MKB, you will hit that BKB, MKB timing before she's powerful. Like and she will die. Because like if you have Halberd, she has to have BKB, right? Otherwise she can't hit you. And then if you have MKB, I like in some games if it's really good, you could just go Halberd MKB. But like I think in this game you probably need a BKB. I just think the Blade Mail is kind of like a cop out. I the only heroes I don't mind buying Blade Mail on against the Wind Ranger are heroes that like would otherwise be perfectly content buying a Blade Mail, like intelligence right clickers. You know, like I wouldn't mind buying a Blade Mail on those anyways. So I would never adjust my build to buy a Blade Mail on Wind Ranger. It's basically saying, hopefully you're bad, please focus fire me when there's like move, command, follow, and shit that makes it so I don't hit you. You know.
So I've never actually bought Blade. This is like the first time I bought Blade Mail on Huskar.
Yeah.
I was like trying it out to see if it'll work against. Against.
I would say Wind Ranger's matchup, for instance, that if neither hero adjust or if neither player adjusts around it properly, the Wind Ranger's favored. It's like there's a lot of matchups like that where in like the 4K bracket people really struggle with it because neither player really adjusts their play, and then the one hero just naturally scales really well against the other. I think it is like a hard matchup. I'm not like underestimating. Like I've played Huskar before. Like I used to play Huskar a shit ton, and I've played against a lot of Wind Rangers. But yeah, you just need to hit that timing where you kill him and he doesn't kill you. That's pretty much where you need to get to. And the Blade Mail kind of just is like a band-aid. It like temporarily delays his ability to kill you as quickly, and then he just eventually buys a BKB and kills you anyway. In this case, he's not doing that, so. He has a Lincoln's, what the fuck? Just remember, you're losing to a Lincoln's Wind Ranger. Okay. I've seen enough this game. I think you definitely... I don't really care what happens from here. You've definitely ruined the snowball of your game, and it's been a pretty common problem. Or like the whole problem you're having throughout the course of this game is consistent. It's the same thing. So, do you have another game for me, sir?
Yes. How do I get back? Hold on 1 second. So this other game is where I actually lose mid because I was up against an Invoker Smurf. Invoker was smurfing, and I wanted to know basically how do I win this lane? Like how do I win that lane? And
You're OD? Yeah, okay.
I'm OD, yes. I'm OD and Invoke.
This is like a new account. You're just ranked 21 on OD? What am I missing here?
No, this is so this is the old Smurf that I abandoned like a while ago.
Oh, so this is an account you've had for a long time, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like the account that I my first Smurf account after
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you and say I don't know too much about the OD versus Invoker matchup, but I can watch the matchup and see what you're doing wrong for sure. It's just like in terms of I literally don't play either of these two heroes, so I can't go into the matchup telling you exactly what it's gonna look like. But like I can infer what you're doing is right or wrong when I'm watching it. Just letting you know ahead of time. But yeah, it's not like a matchup I can envision how it plays out for you. So let's see how it goes. Here, let's ask Shaggy real quick. He's in chat. Shaggy, how's the OD versus Invoker matchup, sir?
This is a Quadrex Invoker too.
Hello, I'm Gabe Newell. You've just achieved First Blood. Thanks and have fun.
Okay. So, when I play against ODs, they very rarely drag creeps like this. What happens is they usually spend the first creep wave. So, like, notice how this creep's dying, right? The one creep is dying. They'll spend time right-clicking the other creep or the hero and So they want, as OD, they obviously want multiple creeps to be dying at the same time, right? Because you astral the guy and you get as many creeps as you possibly can. So they're usually like constantly posturing astrals on me rather than doing any of this like passive creep aggro shenanigans. It just doesn't really do anything for OD. So I think right off the bat, like, I obviously know your approach is wrong. How many games of OD are actually yours? Are these all yours? Like, have you played, like...
You're all my OD. I spam OD. Yeah.
Okay, you spam a lot of OD. Okay. So, I definitely, when I watch ODs, like, this is how I think of his laning stage. So, like, when I'm against really good OD players, I'm constantly in fear of this guy astraling me. Like, I have to be very afraid. Obviously, his early laning stage for OD is not that great, because Astral's cast range, super low levels, is, like, really bad. It's, 225 goes up by 75 every level.
Yeah, but level 1 is just really, it's so short.
Yeah, so, like, usually, like, I'll posture myself where, like, if this creep is where it normally would be, I would be sitting on the low ground, and like, most players I've realized when I play against OD, I can't afford for you to astral me. Like, I don't want you to astral me, so, like, if I see an OD walking at me, I'm forced to walk away as well. Sometimes I'm, like, also content to tank the astral. Like, if only one creep's gonna die during this time where none of my creeps are gonna die, like notice how because you creep aggro, your creep is dying, or, like, the creep you want to get is dying, but the creep he wants to get is not dying, so he doesn't actually care about you astraling him here. As OD, I want as many creeps to be dying at the same time as possible, because that astral will be really potent. So by creep aggroing, you're actually altering the time that creeps are dying, so that's a first and foremost for me. Why did you play passive there? Why not walk at him and threaten that astral? Instead, you astral the range.
I want to secure the range, yeah.
Well, like, here's what I mean, is right now, so you kill this creep. Don't creep aggro. Don't do this. Don't hit him there. You're not supposed to hit him there. And then you're supposed to stay next to your ward. I know you can't see my mouse. It's, like, right on the high ground. And then if he walks up for your range, you astral him, and in the meantime, you deny your range. You have 4 seconds. You deny your own range, and then you right-click the enemy range twice, and you get both. Like...
I think I'll walk back because I don't want to get hit by the melee creeps.
But what I'm saying is, prior to this, so some people say, but BSJ, I aggroed creeps to hit him. Right here. See this?
Right here, yeah.
So what's the response to that?
Yeah.
Don't fucking hit him.
Yeah, I shouldn't be running at him and hitting him.
You shouldn't be hitting him, right? Like, that's the point, is, like, when people say, like, BSJ, I dragged those creeps onto me and they were attacking me, it's like, well, why'd you fucking hit them? You know, there's a lot of times where I got taught a lot when I was on VCJ. For the month I was on it, that was a patch where there was a lot of 1v1s in the side lanes and stuff, and at the time I had Ryoya basically being my, like, personal tutor on how to 1v1, and, by the end of it, I learned a shit ton, and I remember, I say this a lot on my stream, but I remember I asked a question somewhere along the lines of, like, how do I know if I'm supposed to creep aggro and trade with him or not? And he said, it's unique in every situation, figure it the fuck out. That was his answer, and I was like, okay. So this is an example where the problem you faced is that there are creeps hitting you, so don't make them fucking hit you in these type of scenarios, and recognize when these scenarios happen and why. Like, so you stop aggroing creeps in scenarios that are similar to this one. Like, that's exactly why. Like, think about, I'm telling you, if you're an OD spammer, I can tell you conceptually, I know more about this hero's laning stage than you do, and I don't play this hero. Like, I know you're supposed to constantly threaten Astral, you want as many creeps to die at the same time as possible, and you need to put yourself in scenarios where if you Astral the guy, as many creeps are going to die at the same time as possible. And you're not, like, taking disadvantageous trades in the meantime. When your Astral's on cooldown, you're kind of a weak piece of shit. It's kind of what it is. So it's even more important that you, like, capitalize on that Astral. So you're kind of just content dragging this guy away. So now you're not going to get the enemy range. So let's rewind this here.
Yeah.
So
what? In that situation, what should I have done? I astraled him because I want to deny that range creep because it was about to die, and I knew that if I astral him, I'm not going to get my range creep. But
okay, so okay? I'm actually going to ask you a better question. So this is the only way I can think to teach people about lanes. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it'll help. So you drag him to your range, they go to his range, right? That's what just happens here.
Yeah, I should.
What's your plan here? Isn't your plan to walk up, astral him, deny this, get the last hit?
Yeah.
So that's
That
your
was-
plan, right?
Yeah.
So what does he do? I'm going to play it real quick. What does he do to prevent that? What did he do?
He walked towards my range creep
And?
and gets Astral so that he can.
Well, doesn't he
die.
intentionally drag aggro off of his own range?
Yeah.
Isn't that what he did?
Yeah, he did.
And so notice how what I told you, what does OD want in lane, specifically? The one parameter that I told you is to your advantage.
Keep multiple creeps low.
Okay, so what did this Invoker do by dragging these creeps away? You made it so 2 creeps are not dying at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so based on you dragging the melee creeps to your own range and him dragging the melee creeps to his range, and then him doing this, is there anything you could have done to make these 2 creeps die at the same time?
No.
So, what is the lesson?
I guess don't aggro.
To your own range! Oh my god! It's mind-blowing! It's mind-blowing! Like, you know, all sarcasm aside, that's literally how fucking laning works. Like, you play a situation out, somebody says, BSJ, should I be dragging creeps to my own range? I get that question randomly a lot. And it's like, this is a perfect example of like, well, you did it, and he responded, was it good for you? Answer's fucking no, don't do it again. You know, like, don't ever do that again. You've done it 3 times this lane already. You know, I learned the hard way. Like, I used to, in the safe lane, it's almost always good to do that. Like, there's a lot of situations where it's good to do that. So when I played mid, I was doing this shit a lot, where I was dragging the creeps to my own range, and I was getting railed. Like, actually fucking railed by doing that. So my point is that, please, it's the same as itemization. Like, you can't repeat the same mechanics every game. Like, you can't rely on the same versions of creep aggro. You can't rely on the same items, you know, you can't.
So is this situational then? Because
absolutely, like what I'm saying is you have. So what I tell people is when I'm quoting Ryori and he says like every situation's unique, figure it the fuck out. People ask me, should I aggro creeps to my range? And I say, every example is unique, figure it the fuck out. So it's like you have to understand the dynamic of what happens in the lane when you drag creeps to your own range and when he drags creeps to his range, and in that given matchup. Is that advantageous for you? Like, is that a good thing? And in this specific matchup, I think at this point it's proven to you it clearly is not good, right?
I was getting frustrated. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah. In this game, I was actually getting really frustrated because I wasn't getting like
any range.
I wasn't out CSing this guy.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, you know, and I couldn't figure it out. Like,
so here's what I'm going for. Okay. Like, I always try to explain to people in a way that can help them capitalize as much in the future as possible, right? Like, I want you to gain more than just what you're learning in the individual matchups. So, when I go into a matchup, I try to fathom to myself, you know, what's the dynamic of this matchup that benefits me the most? You know, like, is it creeps dying at the same time? Is it the lane on my hill? Is it shoving in the lane into his tower? Is it avoiding him as much as possible, cutting creeps and shit? Like, you know, what is it? What is the advantage of my hero, if there is any, you know? Like, am I creep aggroing purely defensive? Am I not creep aggroing at all? If you watch certain SF players, like what I learned watching a few replays in really bad lane matchups, if as SF, what's really your only option in really bad lane matchups? If you watch them, I'll just tell you, because I just make sure it gets done, they will literally raise the first creep wave 3 times. Like, they just raise it 3 times. They'll start the lane off before anything happens. They'll raise the creeps. They'll raise the range creep when it's about to die again. Like, they'll right-click the range creep twice, raise again to kill it and the melee creep at the same time, and then they'll use that 3rd raise on the last 2 creeps. Like, they'll actually just do that. Why? Because they can't trade with the guy, and the longer they spend in the lane, the more they're just going to get hit. You know, like if they're dealing with a Queen of Pain or some shit, you know, they're just going to get hit a lot. And the longer those creeps are alive, the longer that Queen of Pain has to hit the guy. So he made it his goal to just kill the creeps as fast as fucking possible. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why they buy 3 mangoes to start the game, and then they just triple raise the fucking first wave. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. You know, like that's like an exact adjustment to that matchup specifically. You know, so the point that I go for with this is that all of these creep aggro usages, all the lane equilibrium manipulations, whether or not you're mid, safe lane, off lane, pull camps, all of it is always an option. In certain matchups, every mechanic either benefits you or is bad for you. Like every single matchup, right? So to understand that they're all an option. Yes, Dota is very fucking hard for people that did not realize this. So, you know, This is an example of perfectly, like, you know, you're just losing a lane because you're aggroing to your own range. Like, that's actually why you're losing the lane. Okay. Should you necessarily win the lane? I don't actually know. You know, I don't know this matchup. But I know what you're doing is definitely not the best way to play it. Okay. Continue. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was like, now you pointed out why I was not being able to, like, win the CS game.
It's annoying, right? Dota's pretty simple sometimes. Like, it's just like a math equation or a math problem where, I don't know if you ever took math courses in college, but when I was an engineer, there were a lot of our tests. All it took was if you knew what the right formula was for that specific question, man, that question was fucking easy. But like, if you didn't know how to start the problem, you would just get fucked. You'd actually be like going through a bunch of equations trying to figure out the right answer, and you just never get it. But if you could like recognize the right scenario for the right equation, man, that shit was so easy. It's just like Dota. It's like if you know like what your like right equation is for that problem, man, it's fucking easy. But if you're not spoon fed the answer sometimes, like it's actually really hard. For me, my version of spoon feeding is like to just watch a pro player do it that like knows the hero really well. Like if they've played that matchup 100 times, there's no amount of practice I can get other than playing the matchup 100 times. You know, to
that matchup, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I watch his matchup and I know all of these options. You know, I know all the options for my creep mechanics and all that kind of shit. And I watch exactly which ones they try to capitalize on in that specific matchup and why. And like which one they're trying to avoid and all that kind of shit. So let's go ahead and play this out. Obviously, so you're going to Astral him. Okay.
I Astraled him. I was deciding, okay, do I get the range or do I get the ward? Because my creeps are already hitting the ward. So it was already...
You realize if your creeps kill the ward, you get the ward, right?
I didn't want him to deny it.
Okay. So, the way I look at this is every time I see people Astral like that, they always right-click the range creep twice. That's like what I always see. This is definitely a unique scenario, so I know you were thrown off. I probably would have prioritized the range creep, and if he goes for that ward deny... Like, I think you're going to be more likely to get this ward deny, or this ward last hit, if anything. I really think like you would have been able to get both, but that's a hard call to make. I think you should have gone for the range creep, though. That's a hard call, though. Really odd scenario there. Okay, so this is a lane where I've lost many a mid lanes just because I miss a bunch of CS, and usually it's a mechanics thing is why you're missing CS. Like, not like it's a conceptual mechanic thing. Like, you should have just approached the lane differently. Okay. See, like, that's a good Astral, for instance.
Yeah.
But then what happens is... Okay, so, like, I talked about OD, right? After you Astral, what kind of hero are you?
Potato magnet.
You're a piece of shit, right? Like, you don't do anything. So in this case, I want to get as far away from this banishment as possible. So what should I do while I banish him? Run, right? But I want to kill as many creeps as possible. So I'm probably right-clicking my range, then moving. Right-clicking my range and moving. Then finishing off this melee creep. But I'm leaving that one melee creep for him, right? Like, I can't...
Yeah.
That's too far forward. So basically all I'm saying is, like, you leave yourself incredibly vulnerable as OD whenever you use Astral. And most of the things I know about OD is from playing against, like, Ryoya and shit, who plays, like, a shit ton of OD, and I just watch them play OD against me, and they shit on me. Like, because I'm not very good at this hero, and I don't know how to play against it. Most heroes I don't know how to play against, and most people in general, are ones they also don't know how to play. So, like, I would have definitely been running the fuck away during this.
I got greedy. I was trying to get the range deny.
Yeah. I think you could have gotten the range deny, but you should have been running as far away as possible while you went for it. Like, you should have been coming out as far as possible from that. So at this point, you've definitely already ruined your own lane. Obviously, you're down by, you know, level and a half. So Quaswex Invoker's an interesting hero. The problem with OD nowadays, obviously, is he doesn't recover very well. But I'd be thinking to myself that I want to clear as many creeps as possible. I had a similar situation yesterday. I played Queen of Pain. I played Wind Ranger versus Queen of Pain. I think I played the matchup wrong in the early levels where I got daggered a bit too easily. And I ended up falling really far behind because I barely didn't get my bottle and I had to go base. So it's like one of those things where if I got 2 more CS, that lane would have been perfectly fine. But because I fucked it up early, I had to go to base. And then Co-op got like 3 creeps worth of XP on me, and then the lane was really fucking hard. Point of the mid lane is there's a lot of little fine things that snowball against you, and it gets fucked. The point is, I already pointed out to you what went wrong in this one. At this stage in the lane, this is a funny pause, but at this stage in the lane, I'm pretty much warding like right up here on the cliff, like top rune, and I'm going to just rotate between this big camp and lane. Like, I know OD's not the best recovery hero, but Astral's not terrible. Like, I was power shotting fucking jungle creeps when I was Wind Ranger. It's definitely just as bad as Astral. And I'm just rotating between this and lane at this point. Like, you just can't lane against this guy, but you definitely should not give him his tower, like your tower, right? So there were several times where I was even at this big camp. I didn't even feel safe enough to walk up to that Queen of Pain, and I sat in the big camp farming it while in XP range of the tower creeps dying, right? Like, so at that point, I'm like double dipping in XP, but you know, like that Queen of Pain's not going to kill my tower. She's not like a DK. She's not a, you know, whatever. She's not some hero in the mid lane that's going to kill my tower. As long as I'm somewhat near and I'm not like giving her free hits on my tower. So like, I think even that was scary that you stepped forward there. Like, I'd even clear this wave and just back the fuck off. Like, I would just back off. Like, you got that Astral to... So your point of being in the mid lane ever here is what? What did I just say is your like main purpose of ever... What?
Clear the wave.
You clear the wave, right? So... You have to understand, when you're super weak, which I experienced this literally yesterday, when you clear the wave, when you're ahead, clearing the wave means you farm every fucking creep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearing the wave when you're behind is clearing it as much as you possibly can and just get the fuck out, dude. Like, you're there to just clear the wave. You don't even care if you get the farm or not. Like, you're actually just there to clear the wave. Because as a hero, you're ruining the fucking game if you just never clear the wave. Like, if you just let the opponent have the lane and push it into your tower and your teammates are effectively, like, trying to defend your mid tower for you, you're actually just fucking griefing, right? Like, at this point, you've lost the lane. Your chore is to make sure that lane gets pushed out as much as possible. Sometimes that as much as possible is sitting underneath your tower once it gets pushed in, you know, and dragging the creeps away, but then running away because if the guy dives you, you die. You know, like sometimes it's like you get literally no farm, but you have to be the guy that's manually dragging those creeps off the tower, right? Like that has to be you. Like at this early in the game, your team can't afford to rotate supports away from side lanes for free, right? Like if they're like killing the opponent, it's different. But like if they're just rotating to do a job you could have already done, then that's like... And you're just too arrogant to not farm the creeps. Like, that's something I see in my games a lot, where the guy's like, help me! You know, it's like, and the guy has, like, no health, no mana. And I'm like, what? Point is, I would be playing for optimal efficiency. I'd buy myself a ward. Obviously, they're free. I would plant myself in the triangle. You can watch my Wind Ranger game. Very similar. I got absolutely dumpstered in lane. And I'll send you this replay ID. This approach that I want you to go for, like, I got absolutely demolished in this lane, but I know for a fact that my approach, like, after I got it demolished, was correct. So, just check that out. I'm just talking about, like, the 5 to 10 minute period. Okay, so...
I eventually go to jungle, like, I knew, like, okay, this is, like, this lane's lost, can't really do much.
This is just something that I want you to... Like, right here, I would have just astraled and walked away. I wouldn't be doing any of this shit. You're just, like, dancing with this guy. You know? I understand maybe you wanted to gank with Jakiro, but I can just tell you, when you're losing by a level and a half, like, you're just... That's just not gonna fucking work. Yeah. So it's like, what I'm telling you, I did instantly when I was losing, you've taken 2 deaths to, like, figure out. And that's the difference, right? Like, eventually maybe you come to the right conclusion, but we want this. I would argue you should go the other direction. I almost always lean away from this area if I can. The triangle area is just safer.
Top side.
What?
The top triangle.
Yeah, the top triangle I think is always just the safest. Like, I prefer that. I don't know what other people do. Maybe it's better here. I also think, like, on magic damage nukers, as their primary way of farming, I don't like these medium camps because the golems. I'd rather have the big camps. Like, that's how I look at it. This is 2 medium camps, and the 2 camps over here are the one immediately next to you, and the one other one is big, obviously. So, if I'm like an Alk, I'd probably prefer those 2 camps, right? Guess that's something to think about. That's something I've never really thought about out loud, but I behave accordingly. Okay. I think it's reasonable for you to show up to fights occasionally when they're on your side of the map. You're not going to push this tower, though, so just get the fuck out. Cool, cool, cool. You chose top. I probably would have chose mid, but if you want to go top, whatever.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, it was a bit strange to me that you chose top here. I think mid was just strictly better. I don't think you're... Okay, how do I word this? Another skill in Dota. So, when you're in farm mode, every time you're in farm mode, there's home, there's where you're willing to fight, and then there's where you go when the opponent forces you away from home to farm. That's the 3 locations on the map. These all need to be correctly identified. Where's your home right now?
Home's mid.
Okay. So when do you ever leave mid? Based on what I just said are the 3 scenarios in game. What?
When I'm being pressured, or when the Invoker's there.
Or when there's like a fight to go to on the
there's
part
a
of the
fight.
map you're willing to fight to, right? So there's a place you're willing to leave for a fight, and there's a place you're willing to go if the opponent fucks with you mid, right? Did anybody force you out of mid?
No, because there was a fight bottom.
Anyone here know what a dead lane is?
Okay.
And
So
after that-
when you came top, what happened on the map effectively? Who went mid?
someone was that Invoker? Invoker went back mid.
Who on your team went mid?
Maybe a support.
I'll give you a hint. He's dead right now.
Nobody went mid.
No, Slardar went mid. He died. Why did
died?
Slardar? Why did Slardar go mid?
Because no one was mid.
So where would he have gone if you went mid?
Top.
Is Slardar good in lane against Jug?
I feel like the reason why I went top was because I knew the Jug couldn't kill me, and I wanted to push him out of lane, and where I can farm as well. And I was actually thinking whether I should go mid or top, and I chose top because I wanted to force the Jug out of lane.
So what does your Slardar do if you go top?
Slardar went mid.
And what happens to Slardar when you go top and he goes mid?
Slardar dies, and that's
Okay.
that's
The point is, like, top's about creating pressure. I don't know if you realize this, but you're definitely not creating pressure here. If I'm Jug, I'm like, okay, and I'll just back off, farm the little camp. If you push it into my tower, I'll farm that too. I'll probably farm this big camp over here too. Like, I'm actually just don't give a shit that you're here. Like, yeah, maybe I won't farm the creep wave freely, but, like, I get a +1 rotation. You use Astral, you're going to die. If you push my tower, I'll just walk up and spin it. Like, none of this shit, I don't give a shit. Do I care about Slardar in my lane, though, as Jug? Isn't
Yeah,
Slardar kind
Slardar-
of scary
Yeah.
to Jug? Yeah, so all this is about, like, I talk about this a lot every session today. It's come up. It was in my 5K session. It was in my 6K session. Now in my 4K session. Think about your matchups on the map. Think about your teammates' matchups on the map from like 8 to 15 minutes. Who wants to be in lane against who and where? Where do they want to play? Slardar, is he a hero that naturally rotates between mid and jungle?
Not efficiently.
Is Void a hero that naturally rotates between mid and jungle?
He could. Not efficiently.
Are those heroes that naturally want, like, is that their first option? No.
No.
So, like, it's you, right? Like, it is 100% you. It's like, if there's absolute, like, if you're a hero like SF and you want to go hit this tower, could Void rotate between mid and jungle? Sure. But, like, you're not actually creating any pressure here. When we talk about dead lane, relieve pressure bottom, create pressure top. Like, if you're not doing those things, unless that's the best place for your hero to be, there's just no reason to be here. Like, it's just not good. So, if anybody's recognized the trend of this session and the 6K session, it's that when you play the wrong part of the map, bad shit happens. In this case, your teammate feeding mid is the example. It is your fault. It actually is. Okay. Just, like, notice, so you're not actually creating pressure here. And now your Slardar's, like, pushing mid and dying. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Like, we've talked about this. Relieving pressure, you TP'd bottom. That's the 2 fights you've been to that are good or bottom, because your Void is a hero that you can counter gank for. Great. These are all reasonable rotations. Now we want you to walk back to mid, rinse and repeat. Yeah, this is fine. I would argue you could probably defend your mid tower from those creeps, but notice how Slardar gets the fuck out. Cool.
Yeah, I actually told him to leave because we're in a this is a 5-stack. So.
Oh, I see. So we've agreed you are not strong, right? We've agreed on this.
Yeah.
So what mode are you in?
Sorry, Doctor, but at that point, I saw the other team like 3 heroes spot just like a few seconds ago, and then I guess I wasn't expecting them to like all come mid right away. It's like there was like 2 heroes on the bottom.
Yeah,
right
I see
there.
Invoker, and then I also
So that's all-
I also see Legion right here, like immediately in my vicinity.
Is under attack.
And that was I guess, and that was why I was trying to push the tower, and I invoked a TP right away.
I think this is just a game understanding. I don't play OD enough to know his exact limits, but like when I play certain heroes, I know that if other heroes TP on front of my face, like literally in front of my face, they'll just kill me. Like if I'm not gone by the time they already start their TP, I'm just gonna die. Like I've learned that about certain matchups. It's very important. Can you be at the tower and the guy TP's in? Can you be showing in the guy TP's in? Do you have to already be gone by the time the guy TP's in? Like those are like the 3 parameters, right? For how far up you're allowed to play. This is just Invoker versus OD, specifically, like what I'm realizing here. You can't Astral Creep Wave and let him TP in front of your face, you're just gonna die. Like that's how, like, on heroes like OD, like juggle it with spin, you know, heroes that have a very specific survivability mechanic, you know, how far can I play up when it's on cooldown, how far can I play up when it's not, you know? Like when I'm Jug, if I have spin, I'll play differently than if I don't, you know? On OD, you can't play this far up without Astral. So if you're going to Astral the Creep Wave, you better GT fucking O, boy. Like, that's what you've learned here. And that's how you need to start thinking about these heroes, though. Like, what this tells me is, if you're fucking Platinum level OD and you don't know your limits like this, you just don't think about them. Like, you 100% do not think about Dota this way. There's no other way. Because if you've played Dota, if you've played a hero 100 games, you should know these things. Like, you really should. So what I'm saying is, if you think about the game critically, you will know these things by 20 games in. You know, you will know. So it's like, when I say 20 games, you'll know pretty well. Once you play like 100 to 200 games, you will know this shit. Like, you will know when to leave. Like, and shit like that. In every matchup. Go ahead.
When the Invoker TP'd in, I actually saw the Invoker, and I actually wasn't scared. I was confident that just the Invoker wasn't going to be able to kill me, but I didn't see the...
Well, you have to think about what type of hero is Invoker.
Tower is under attack.
Is he a killing hero? Is he initiating? Is he a setup hero? What is he?
Setup.
Yeah, he's a setup hero. So it's not the Invoker that's going to kill you, right? It's everyone else.
Yes.
So, like, that's how I look at heroes like Invoker. I would have never TP bottom here. This is incredibly scary. If they run at me, what happens?
So at this moment, I actually saw that if you go back, I saw the Legion in the tree line, and I actually told my team, "Yo, Legion's bottom, take the fight mid," and
Bottom tower is under
and then it was a disaster.
And then you TP bottom?
No, right there. I saw the Legion right there, and
Well, you saw her earlier, too.
Yeah, I saw her because I saw my team mid about to try to take a fight, and I told my team right away, hey, Legion's bottom, you guys can take the fight mid.
Okay. You saw her before you respawned, too, unless that's a visual bug. But, so you saw her here, you told your team to fight mid, you drew a line.
Dominating performance.
Okay. So, I'd like everyone to take this moment and listen to me here. Is there any point in you scouting out the Legion bottom, telling your team to take a favorable fight when you're not there? Is that actually a favorable fight?
I feel like with our lineup, with Chrono and Jakiro, I felt like that could have been favorable.
I'm gonna ask somebody in chat to see what they say. Maybe you'll answer me before they do. What is the one thing I harp on more so than anything in my coaching sessions that you just did and I want people to stop doing? See what chat says. Anybody? You TP delayed. TP to the dead lane. Thank you. So, what happens when you TP to the dead lane, sir? What do you say to your team?
I'm not fighting with you.
I'm not fighting with you for the next 80 seconds. That is what you're saying. If the opponent makes a postured move on that lane now that you've TP'd there, what are you then saying to your team? Like, if the opponent tries to make an aggressive move to bottom after you've TP'd there, what are you saying to your team? Help me! Is that what you're going to say? Something like that? There are 4 heroes running at you. I'm underneath my tower. Help me.
Yes.
Or, sorry guys, I'm dead. I feed.
Yeah.
Is that your 2 options, right?
Yeah.
So, that should just... I said the rule is you just never fucking TP to your own safe lane. Like, you just never TP to your own safe lane out of base. Like, out of base, unless you are content being there for the next 80 seconds, regardless of anything that goes on in the game. Like, every permutation of the game has to be perfectly fine with you if you TP bottom for the next 80 seconds. Like, it has to be. The only time I've shown people, we had a replay analysis on it yesterday or the day before, is when you force 4 heroes top and you TP bottom. Like, that's about the only thing you ever do. Like, you force a bunch of heroes elsewhere and you TP bottom. Like, that's about the only time you ever TP to your own safe lane. I think the arguments I'm going to give, like, I've obviously given a lot of coaching sessions today, so I'm on, like, a bit of a short wire when it comes to, like, reasoning with you. I'm not saying you're being, like, a terrible student or anything like that. I'm saying that, like, you know, I've heard enough of this shit at this point where I say, guys, bad shit happens when you play the wrong part of the map and you TP incorrectly. I literally told you that TP was bad. 10 seconds later, 3 of your teammates died. Like, it's not a coincidence, guys. It is not a fucking coincidence. Please, think about your TPs. Think about where you're playing the map. Like, when you're 6K, like the guy that was 6K that came in today, every time I was like, dude, we just want to play here. We just want to play here. Every single time he didn't play there, bad shit happened. Every single time I see these TPs in these 4K games, bad shit happens. All it takes is a quick reflection on yourself, the way you think about the game, and realizing what I'm saying about these TPs. They are bad. They are game-losing shit. I questioned this guy's 19.5-minute TP last session. He's a 6K player. I said, this TP, man, there's all these reasons why it's bad. Here it is. And then 3 minutes later, he finds himself in a super awkward fucking fight. And it was because of that TP. 3 minutes prior. It's like, the way to play the map sets up good fights. It sets up the right orientation for you. You go to the wrong lane, somebody's going to die. You go to the wrong part of the map, someone's going to die. You TP to the wrong place, someone's going to die. Like, that's how Dota works. It's really hard to identify without somebody spoon-feeding to you. It really is. It actually is. Like, all this lessons I'm teaching you right now, it's actually decently high-level shit that the average 4K player shouldn't have to... Like, you don't have to learn it to necessarily grow in MMR. But by learning it, you'll feel like these guys are just dumbasses, because you'll see them making the mistakes all the time. Like, I talk about Legion Commanders not supposed to show in lane. In your bracket, you'll see Legion Commanders showing in lane all fucking game. Like, you'll see it all fucking game. And you can capitalize on it if you understand why it's bad. So, I know I've been rambling. I know I'm like talking your ear off. But the point is...
No, I get it.
Yeah, because okay. It's only because I've had to reason with people all day today. And it's not, you know, if this were the first session, I'd definitely be going easier on you, right? Go ahead.
Should I have TP'd mid?
So...
Or top?
My question is there any part of the map here that you TP to and it feels good there to be for 80 seconds?
No.
Like, if there's a fight that's going to happen right now, before this even happened, couldn't you have guessed it would have been mid or bottom? Like, because who's stronger right now?
They're stronger.
Okay. Based on the dead lane idea, what lanes are they going to capitalize on that strength in? Bottom or mid, right?
Bottom or mid, yep.
Do you want to be at that fight? Like, do you want to be defending that tower or at that fight at the very start?
No.
Do you need to be able to be at that fight, though?
Yes.
So, are you allowed to TP out of base? What is the right play?
Walk to top.
Boom! Okay, cool. So, that's the reasoning you have to have, right? Like, if I'm PA... Like, when I was PA yesterday and I was really weak in the early game, and I saw the opponent top, I'm TPing the fuck away, because I had no intention of fighting at all, right? Like, but if I want to be able to fight them, but I don't want to be near them, I have to walk away. I have to walk away from them, right? Like, I have to walk away. So, a most common problem is when people think they just have to TP everywhere. Like, they just TP places, you know? Like, they just TP. Like, I swear, understanding of TP scrolls and, like, where to TP is, like... 2,000 MMR. Like, that's, like, it's so much fucking MMR when it understands, like, how much where you play the map, where you TP to and shit, when you TP, when you don't TP. Like, I had to practice this a lot. I still am practicing this. Like, my TP usage is not by any means perfect. It's definitely, like, at a much higher level than the average player, obviously, but, like, You know, when you compare like 9 to 10K players, where they play the map and shit, it is better than me, right? That is just how it is. So, the point is though, that
Even if there's, I think, could you possibly go back? Even if there's a wave there, I still shouldn't go there.
to bottom.
Yes,
Okay.
like right there. See, there's I guess.
Radiant's bottom tower
Okay.
is under attack.
Have you ever heard me talk in like a coaching session or anything? Say you're like pushing mid aggressively, like we've taken Roche, okay? After we've taken Roche on Radiant, where's our natural play? Like what 2 lanes do we take over after we've taken Roche?
Top and mid.
After we've taken Roche, what 2 lanes as Radiant do we then choose to play?
Mid.
And
Wouldn't after you take Radiant.
after you take Roche,
Top.
why do you need to play top anymore? Roche is dead.
Oh, that's right. So bot, mid.
So
and bottom.
bottom, right? So what you'll often see in this is me flaming my teammates when we're playing mid and bottom, and they TP to their own lane top because there's a quad wave there. Okay,
Oh,
like because at that point, by TPing to top lane, even though there's a quad wave there, you've effectively surrendered all control of bottom half of the map. Like that's what you've done. Like you have surrendered control of that entire part of the map. And so the way that you're supposed to deal with that is by having foresight, and you were supposed to cut those waves earlier on. Like it's usually something where like 2 minutes prior you missed a creep wave that you're supposed to clear, and now there's 4 creep waves at your tower. Like that's usually what it is. So the point is though that at this yeah, at this point in the game, like I'd say somewhere around 15 minutes, like people don't understand when people are hitting creeps at the highest level. Like when I'm talking about learning how to play farming and shit, not the amount of creeps you fucking hit, it's where you hit creeps. Like it is what creeps you hit. Like that wave doesn't matter for shit. Like if that wave cost you map control, like who gives a shit about that wave? Nobody gives a shit about that wave. Like it's fucking 200 gold. It's like at the 4-minute mark, you know, when you were a Huskar, I told you, you can't let that wave go, man. Like, you have to kill that wave. Yeah, 4 minutes in, that 200 gold, 200 XP, that's like a tenth of your net worth in XP, right? This wave is worth like 200 gold. That's like 4% of your net worth. And those kills mid are worth like a lot more than 4% of your net worth. So it's like that's the point. Is like at this stage in the game, it matters much less how many creeps you hit. It matters where you hit them. Like it much matter. Like once we get past like the first 10 minutes, maybe even shorter than that. It's all about how you play the map. It's where you're farming and why. Like if you TP top, push that lane. Like imagine your decision making right here. You walked top, you TP'd, or like sorry, you walked top, you pushed in the lane, you saw this fight going on mid, you TP'd, maybe something good happened. If it didn't look like a good fight to you, you're pushing that top tower. Like, do you see how that is like leaving you with 2 good decisions potentially? While TPing bottom, you're like, you know, like what now? Like there was literally no choice you could have made. So it's similar to like when you dragged creeps, something happened, and I said, what was your lesson? You don't fucking drag the creeps. It's like, here, you TP bottom. What was your choice after you TP bottom? You don't fucking TP bottom, right? Like, that's usually what it is. Okay, so... Whew, you know, I think Essence Ring is, like, the best item in the fucking game on OD. You're crazy. Moving on.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Middle tower is under attack.
Do you, like, disagree with me on that real quick, by the way?
I don't. Honestly, I don't use Essence Ring. I'm not even sure what that item does.
Under attack.
It gives you temporarily like health or mana. I know they after they changed it. I don't even use that item anymore.
Well, they never changed what it actually does. They just made it not heal. So they like buffed the shit out of the item.
Before it would heal, right?
It still heals you.
Increases your that's actually really good on OD.
Yeah. It's like in any like int squishy mid laner that has no way of health sustain, it's literally like the best fucking item in the game. Like Wind Ranger, Quap, you know, Wind Ranger, Quap, Necro, not really squishy, Death Prophet, you know, all these int mid laners, it's like an insane fucking item. For the record, you gain 420 current and max health, and when it expires, you lose the max health, but not the current health.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
you effectively, if you were missing 425 health, you heal 425 health. So like that's what you effectively do on a 20-second cooldown with a hero. The only downside of the item is it costs 200 mana. Does OD give a shit about that?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay,
it
cool.
doesn't-
Actually, probably the best tier 2 item in the game, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, for OD.
Well, in general, on average, I would say it's the best tier 2 item in the game. For OD specifically, it is by far the best tier 2 item in the game. Okay. So notice how you were top, and then you went to a fight bottom, and you won. Okay, fine. Like, I can't really predict exactly what's going to happen in these fights, but you played her on top, you went to a fight bottom, maybe that should have been a smoke, whatever, like, could have been better, maybe whatever. I don't really care about your fight mechanics at this point, it's definitely not what's holding you back. No reason to leave top half of the map there. You should have cleared this big camp, and then you should have gone back top or mid. Like, top or mid, top or mid, top or mid. Let's keep watching here. Top or mid, cool. Top or mid, cool. Okay, no jungle bottom, cool. Good. Nice. You could have... Imagine something here.
If I was there.
Top or mid, top or mid, top or mid. You clear this wave, where do you go?
Top.
Okay,
Yeah.
what happens if you go top? You're there, like, 7 seconds sooner. What happens if you're 7 seconds sooner there, right?
In that team fight.
Yeah. So how do I know you're supposed to walk to your team rather than farm once you clear mid there? Let's rewind. So I told you top and mid, top and mid, top and mid. You clear this wave. Why are you supposed to walk to your team immediately?
Because there's well, my whole team is there.
How many creeps are there to farm top and mid, top and mid, top and mid?
There's a creep wave. Yeah, I just cleared the creep wave mid, so I should be going top.
But like, what creeps are there to farm top and mid right now?
There's no creeps.
Literally no creeps. So run your fucking team, right? Top and mid, top and mid, top and mid. It's like, you know where you're supposed to play? You play there. It's like, at this point, if there were 3 jungle camps there, you'd have to go through that decision of like, do I farm the jungle? Do I go to my team? Yeah. But like, if you know you're supposed to play top and mid, there's no other fucking option. You run top. If there's creeps to farm, you're then choosing between farming the creeps and being right with your team, right? Like, at that point, it's a bit harder. But at this point, the decision's literally been made for you, right? Like, run to your team, right? So it's like a perfect example where, I get a lot of these, like, the guy's jungling, he's like, I'm not there, guys. Or the guy TP bottom, and he's like, I can't be at the fight, guys. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, this guy actually thinks he's justified. Like, he actually thinks it's okay, like... He thinks it's not his fault that his team's dying there, right? Like, if you're there and your team dies, what do you guys learn?
That the other team's stronger than you and you should be team fighting.
You shouldn't be there the way you were, right? What does your team learn this time?
That I should have been there.
Yeah, but like past that, you learn nothing, right? Like, so if you don't play the right part of the map, there's like no way to actually know whether or not it was correct. Like I actually could not tell you if your team was supposed to be there or not. Like, I really don't know. Because if you were there and then you get wiped, your team's bad for being there. Like, that's what I would say. But, yeah. So, these are examples where, a lot of times in coaching sessions, I'll say, all I can coach you is you're supposed to do this, and I can't coach you any further because I'd have to see how it plays out once you start doing that. So, I emphasize top and mid all the time when you're Radiant, bottom and mid when you're Dire. A lot of people have said it's changed a lot about their gameplay when they start following that. Like, right now, I think it would have been better for you to quickly Astral a wave bottom while they were showing mid. Like, when they were showing on your tier 2 mid, to just walk up and Astral a wave and walk away. It would have created a bit of extra pressure, right? Why are you bottom right now? Where's your home? Top and mid, right? Top and mid's home, top and mid home. Why are you bottom right now?
I TP bottom because we lost that team fight top.
Yeah, and they were all top, right?
Yeah, they were all top.
So your reaction to go bottom there is fine. Obviously, you should have been at the fight, but like the fact that you guys lost the fight, your reaction to go bottom there was fine. My point is, though, like, why are you bottom, though? Do you want to be there?
No.
So you're forcing them to come here as soon as you possibly can. So that's why I would have like astraled that wave and gotten out. I'm just trying to force that wave in. For me, it feels like your perspective. If you can't farm every single creep wave, like every single creep on that wave, you don't even want to push it. Like, that's what I'm getting the impression of, right? Like, we need to start having priorities of the lane being pushed is the most important thing, not the actual creeps itself. In some games, you're strong enough to get the whole creep wave, right?
My priority is trying to get the creeps.
Yeah, exactly. So in some games, when you're really strong, you kill all the creeps yourself because you're strong enough to do it. In some games like this, you just clear the wave. And some people would say, you know, BSJ, then you're not getting any farm. And my only answer is, if you surrender map control, who gives a fuck? You're gonna lose the game. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, lanes getting pushed is all that fucking matters. Like, it really is all that matters. Like, if you watch every movement people make, every prediction they make in terms of when they smoke gank and shit, it's all based off what lanes they want to push, what lanes the opponent wants to push, where they're gonna be when they push them, who's gonna be there, you know, all that kind of shit. Like, every decision is telegraphed by lane clearing. Okay, so the opponent just blinks in like a crazy person. Cool. We like crazy people.
I think we actually lost that team fight because the vet swapped out the Wyvern.
Okay, so ends up being a 2 for 2. Your team's kind of weird for chase. I guess they're not kind of weird for chasing. I guess it's okay to chase if you guys played it properly. I had to watch it out.
We couldn't really chase because our slaughter actually did by Blink Dagger. He went first time Echo Saber. So we can't.
I do get asked by Twitch chat a lot, you know, why don't people buy Echo Saber on Slardar? And my only response is, what the fuck are you talking about? That item's garbage. So, you know, whatever. Your friend wants to ruin the game too? That's cool. You've done your part, he's done his part. We're all equal here. Continuing here. So let's see. So I guess my example when you guys won this fight, where's the fight that you, or when you got these 2 kills. So you guys get these 2 kills. I'd say this is just a classic, like, dude, your team's chasing, man. What the fuck are you doing, bro? You know, like, Astral the Wave and blink to him, or run to him, or whatever. I think this is another scenario where, like, if you're not going to chase with them, like, what's the point? Like, if you chase with them and it fails, easy decision there. We shouldn't have chased. But, like, if you're just going to hit some creeps instead of chase with them, it's like, how do we know if this was actually wrong? What if you just blink Astral this guy who's getting Omni Slashed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you just don't know at that point. You have no way of knowing what could have played out in this scenario.
I was like, honestly, at that point, I was actually flaming the bench because the bench swapped out the bench, and I was just maybe clouded, so I just didn't want to play with the team. Like, I just wanted to hit creeps.
Yeah, it's just an attitude problem for sure. I do this occasionally myself. Nobody's perfect. Having hindsight 2020 or like reflecting on a mistake somebody's already made, why the fuck do people do this? Like, I'm public service announcement to everybody, like, how does you getting upset about something that's Venge fucked up help anything that's about to happen, right? It doesn't help at all. Like, the time, if you actually listen very closely, 95% of the time that I'm flaming a guy is when he's currently playing the map incorrectly and I'm begging him to stop. Like, I'm like, please come to me. I never go like, dude, how the fuck do you mess up that button? Like, I never, like, that's not a useful flame, right? Like, if, like, you were playing the way you were, where you TP bottom, I'm like, dude, why the fuck you TP bottom run mid right now? And then, like, you know, if you don't, then yeah, that's your prerogative to continue ruining the game. But, like, that's the type of flame that's worth something. People are so often in my games just, like, randomly flaming shit that already happened. And I'm like, guys, like, does this change anything about the game? Like, we're just, like, any useless communication in Dota is, like, incredibly harmful, incredibly toxic. Like, toxic in a way of not, like, you're being a shitter, but, like, in a way that it actually hurts the team. Like, nobody's gonna benefit from that. Not only are they probably listening to that and, like, this Venge is probably demoralized by it, but the rest of your team, who could be thinking about things that are going on in the game, probably just forgot that Roche exists, and they killed a fucking Roche. Like, that's probably what just happens here. The fact that you guys are playing bottom, really stupid. Obvious reasons. No reason to play bottom when Roche is alive. Like, if you're going to dedicate resources, you guys should smoke up to the top half of the map, control that area. So the priorities of where you're controlling, obviously very bad. Your team just kind of then meanders their way to top and dies. Makes sense. I just want the reoccurring theme to be that there's always a proper place to play on the map. It really is super fucking obvious if you take a second to look at it. It's like not as easy to do live in the game, right? The skill to do this live every single second, very difficult to achieve. But the more often you do it, the higher MMR you will be. That's really all there is to it on that. So, but every time I've pointed out, like, you just shouldn't be playing this part of the map, and then And like I think I'm doing a good job of giving you exact reasons why. Like I hope it doesn't sound like I'm just like hindsight 2020 seeing it didn't work out for you. It's like you guys should be playing around Roche, you know? Like why aren't you playing around? So point is, I think with like a small attitude check on yourself, where it's like, you know, give the team the respect that they deserve in regards to, you know, like if you're Huskar and the enemy mid's getting shit on you, like the opponent's option is really only one thing. Otherwise, you're just gonna win the game. So the way I look at it is like if they're just gonna hand me the free win, cool. You know, like if they're proving that they're not gonna respond at all, cool. Then I'll just kill the guy a bunch. But I always assume whatever they could do, if their heroes that are showing on the map and shit are missing and they're capable of doing it, I always assume that's what they're going to do. And then also when you apply pressure somewhere, like when you were as Huskar, if you think to yourself what the opponent's naturally going to do, then respond accordingly. That's really important. When you're playing OD, we talked about the lane mechanics. We talked about bad TPs. We talked about like how safe you should feel on the map. I talked about Invoker. You know, he's not a hero that kills you. He's the hero that sets up for you. So you need to start thinking about, you know, when you die, who sets it up? Who's the damage? Who's the follow-up? You know, what chain of stuns do they need to kill you? Like, sometimes it's like 4 fucking heroes to kill you. And if those 4 heroes are missing and you still show on a creep wave, like, that's just bad map awareness. Yeah, I think that's... Are there any final questions you got, buddy?
No, like, that's actually really helpful. Like, I think that's what I needed to hear, and basically answered all my questions. So
yeah, I think Dota, I just want to be honest with you and everyone watching. I think Dota can be an incredibly toxic game. It's really hard to know exactly what went wrong. It's really easy to see other people doing shit wrong and blaming them. And there are a lot of times I've learned this lesson myself where what you're doing is actually what's wrong. Like, you're actually causing your team to fuck up by whatever you're doing on the map. And just trying to think of the next right thing for you, regardless of what your team is doing. Playing the map correctly, making sure you can always be at the fights as often as you can, like leaving yourself available to help your team. If you're like really upset because your team isn't doing anything, just play the map in a way that like you're playing incredibly passive, but if a fight breaks out, maybe you can show up. You know, like that seems like the best course of action that I've learned. You know, like leave yourself available to potentially contribute. The people I feel like that start to just AFK farm and give up on the team and just do anything regardless of whatever it does in the game, like they don't care about this kind of shit, it's just absolutely fucking miserable to play with them. Like, I had a TA that did it the other day. Like, it was yesterday actually. It's absolutely fucking miserable to play with you. And I think if you're genuinely trying to gain MMR, genuinely trying to be better at Dota, you just want to be that guy as little as possible. Like, just don't be that guy. My genuine respect for players like Arteezy is even when the game's fucking terrible, he's like doing his best that he thinks he can to win. When he thinks he can't fight, you know, that's why people have this meme that, like, you know, he's still farming for next game or whatever. It's like he's still trying to create pressure on the map. He's still trying. Very rarely do I see him ever give up. So just try to do the next best thing. If the opponent's like ganging up on you, like when I was that sniper that one game, I think that was like the one game I truly had the discipline to actually just say, okay, my team's literally not helping me at all. Fuck, my game's ruined. I'll just try to do my best. And it ended up working out. I was like pretty impressed. Like, I was pretty amazed that we won that game because I was just like, this is such a good sniper game. My team's fucking ruining the game. I was like in my head raging, but I actually managed to leave it in my head and just play the game, right? And it's really hard to do that. I think someone like you in your bracket will benefit a lot from that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the hardest thing. Cause
it's hard, man.
Yeah, I play Huskar a lot, and I know my limits, and I know how strong I am. And if my team plays with me, then, you know, then I can just roll over them. But then I have to just, again, like you said, if they don't decide not to play with me, then I just have to... You
just have to farm more items, man. That's really all there is to it, right? Farm more items, get more levels. That's the only option you have. It's hard discipline to acquire. You know, I come down hard on you guys whenever you, like, can be stubborn and stuff, but I do genuinely say this, that, like, the mentality you have is very easy to fall into, and just a bit of self-reflection and rethinking of the game can help you a lot. So hope that session helped you, bud. So
yeah,
have a good one, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much, BSJ. All right.
Okay. Yeah, that was an interesting session to say the least.